Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough, and welcome to a very special WYR Reforging. So if you're new to the channel, this is my weekly show where basically every Friday I do a big roundup of all the news and previews and that kind of stuff, and we just chat about them very casually. This week's a little bit different because I dedicated the entire week to live streams and painting because I'm excited to start up painting and playing Warhammer Quest games with folks, starting with Silver Tower, but then hopefully very soon moving into Cursed City. So anyway, it's been a little bit of a different week. So that means I haven't gotten any of my normal stuff. So the sections, normally what I do is I'll jump into hobby progress and then games played, and then we'll talk about the news. But hobby progress and games played are kind of tied up into the live streams that I've done this last week. And so honestly, it'll be a little bit of a short show. We're just going to chat news, and then I'm going to get to painting here again. So that's pretty much all that you can expect today. Next week we'll be back to normal. Hopefully this coming week I'll be able to get out and get a game in. I have to get a game of Star Wars Legion, but I hope to get other games. Actually just occurred to me I do have a games played since last stream, so we're going to talk about that. Anyway, as for looking at stuff here, I'm just going to put the downward cam on and let me look at the chat here. Hello everybody. Luke Hickox. Hey Doug, finally just joined the Patreon. Oh buddy, thank you so much. Figured I should pay something for all the awesome content and getting me into the hobby. Well, thank you so much. That certainly means the world to me. My patrons are amazing, and very excited to start gaming with you all very soon when we get this Silver Tower thing all sorted out. But it means the world to me. Thank you so much for your support, buddy. All my members here on YouTube as well. Hey there, Dave, too. Hey, he's a member. Look at that. Hey, Doug. Looking forward to following your progress. You're still on the Acolytes. That's right. So you're also painting a Silver Tower set. Speaking of which, I guess we'll kind of throw this in the hobby progress section. I went back on my Acolytes and actually covered up all of the yellow fabric with white. I'm just going to leave it kind of plain right now. Maybe throw like a light wash on. So I posted these things online, and somebody was like, wow, they look like McDonald's employees set in Age of Sigmar. And my first thing I said was like, why would you ruin someone's paint scheme like that? So anyway, and you know, it's like one of those things. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So, and you know, he's right. Like, I was trying to make them look like my Chaos Warriors, my John Blanche E style Chaos Warriors, and the yellow fabric, it was just too bright. And I tried dulling it down on a few of them several times, and I just couldn't get it the way I wanted it. So actually I'm going to go with, you know, the shields are still going to have the yellow and red checkers, so they're going to match everything. But as far as fabrics go, fabrics will probably be white. So I'm actually happier with how they look now. See, here's a leader guy. Again, he still has the cool pauldron that's going to match everything. To make them truly match my Slaves to Darkness stuff, I would have to put a couple more washes on them because it's supposed to be very dark, very gritty. But other than that, totally fine. Let's see. Then I think the last episode we basically just threw the first layer of blue down on the Zangor, and the rest of it is to be done. So yeah, we did finish most of the heroes. I think the only heroes I have left are I guess I have these three: Chaos Boy, Shadow Elf, and Excelsior War Priest. So yeah, but honestly, the rest of this I'm pretty sure will bang out pretty quick once I get the Acolytes done. I'm very good at painting heroes very fast. Now, as far as actually what I do is I cover a subject, and then I take a break for responses, Q&As, that kind of stuff. So what have you been working on this week? I've been doing a lot of painting streams. A lot of folks have been saying they've been painting along, and I would love to know what you are working on. So let me look at the chat here. Let me actually pull it up to a place where it's easier to see. Gotta pop it out of the window there. And all right. Hello all. Other day, I'm stumped with the flame tassels on the Acolyte leaders. Can I get a peek as to what you did? Flame tassels, flame tassels. What tassels are, do you mean the tassels on the front, like tabard type thing? Because honestly, I kind of repainted over those when I did the white, so I think I just had them as kind of being gold gems before, but I might do something different now if that's what you're referring to. Those are the only tassels I'm seeing. I was going to leave them like jewels kind of a thing, but I could see that. Seeing the Tzeentch models has me wanting some more Acolytes and Zangor. Move over Slaves to Darkness. Hello, Rainbow Flames. Nice. Actually, I'm trying to come up with a more competitive list now that events are starting to open up. And I'm also looking at Disciples of Tzeentch, but specifically the Arcanites, which I didn't do anything before. I owned Tzeentch before with their first battle tome. If you want to watch, see how those looked, you can actually go check out the Path to Glory series on Rerolling Ones. Highly recommended. I was guesting from my games there. And so I wanted to do all demons. At the time, it was kind of crummy because it was a weird place with like the new summoning rules. I felt like it was too easy to get a whole bunch of new summon stuff. But yeah, so anyway, that is that. So I did the demon army there. I want to do mortals now, and I have a fairly good idea of how I want to run these mortals. So Zangor, I think, are awesome. I had the same problem with yellow. I settled on Agros Dunes Contrast. Oh, that's a great one. It worked great with the gold trim. Sweet. Check that out. I have Agros Dune. I just rarely use it. I don't know why. Getting my Scions of the Flame up and painted. Nice. Those are wonderful models. And the contrast makes the fire so easy. I'll have to show off mine at some point, but I really do enjoy those models. Marvel Crisis Protocol and some Iron Jaws. Nice. What's up, Captain Athenos? I gave up trying to build my Slaanesh Exalted Chariot. Man, those chariots are somewhat soul-breaking. I'm not going to lie to you. They're really cool when they're painted. But dang, like, I built one. I don't think I even painted it because I think I was building it for a buddy. And, you know, I got the chariot built and I'm like, okay, now how in the ever-loving heck am I going to paint this thing? And so my plan, and I didn't actually get a chance to do it because he moved away, was, okay, we're going to go silver Slaanesh, silver and purple. So I'm going to prime this thing with Lead Belcher and then just pick out the parts that I want to be purple and go back and clean it up with Lead Belcher. Because, like, there's just so many little odds and angles that it's like, I can't get them all, but the spray paint can surely get them all. So yeah, I understand that. Hang in there. I think I'm doing silver and red scheme for my Stormcast. Sounds awesome. I would love that. Yeah, those are the tassels. Yeah, I just went with like a gem kind of thing. I kept it very simple. These guys are more my test scheme because there's only like 8 of them. You know, it's not even a full unit. It's kind of awkward. So what I'm going to do is basically do tests color schemes on these guys, and then when I am ready to, you know, go to the full Tzeentch army, then I'll kind of have a better idea. So yeah, all right, so I am going to move into games played. So I played one game that I didn't forget about it, but I just thought it was further away ago. It's been a long week. A local guy named Kyle at a local store asked me if I could come out and meet him and kind of give him like a sort of, not a demo of Age of Sigmar. He's played a game before, but, you know, a learning game, right? When it's your first handful of games. He's at a 1,000-point list, and so I did. Went out there, I brought my Slaves to Darkness, plus the Fulmoroid Crusher from Warcry. I call him the troll doll. He's the guy who has like the big red mane going back, and he has a big rock in his hand. And it was versus his Beasts of Chaos for 1,000 points. And specifically, he really likes Minotaurs or Bulgor. Okay, so he had a unit of 20 Gore, and then a unit of 6 Bulgor, a unit of 3 Bulgor. The Bulgor leader, it's not Bloodkind. I can't remember his name. I can never remember the leaders' names in that army, even when I was playing it. So he had the leader there, and then he had a Gorgon. Big guy. Right. And so the game was pretty simple. I threw up some pictures of her on my Instagram. Whenever I'm playing games, I try to do that. And, you know, it's been a while, obviously. But, yeah, we had a great time. We played a mission. It was a narrative mission right out of the Slaves to Darkness book, which it was a little bit wonky. Which he was there for. He was like, I'm a narrative player. This is what I like. I was like, okay, cool. That's awesome. It was a mission where every hero phase, I pick a unit near my general, I roll a die, and D3 dudes from that unit go vaporized. But over the course of the game, I'm trying to reach 10 dudes sacrificed. It doesn't mean 10 mortal wounds, it means 10 dudes die, insta-kill, no saves, nothing. Doesn't matter if they have 2 wounds. And so his goal was to stop the ritual. Now, we didn't understand until like turn 2 that his win condition was killing my general, which I didn't understand that. And so I play a little too fast and loose with a sorcerer on mana core and ended up costing me the game. And it was totally epic. His 6 Bulgor got into combat. They deleted my chariot and dang near took out the entire war shrine in a single blow. He was also, I should mention, running the Brass Stampede? No, not Stampede. Whatever the Cornate version of Beasts of Chaos is, that's what he was going for. So it was very cool to see them. He was always getting, you know, he kept his Minotaurs nice and compact together. And so, yeah, it went really well for him. He had rerolling ones. And what I was explaining to him as the game went on is kind of pointing out things about Beasts of Chaos because, you know, as much as people joke about me, if you don't know, like I once said, I'm going to play Beasts of Chaos for 1 year. And then like 2 months later, I was like, I'm selling my Beasts of Chaos. But I did play them quite a bit. I brought them to 2 events and I had a wonderful time with them. And then what I was explaining to him, I was like, well, the reason people don't like Bulgor is because it takes work and effort to make them good, right? Like the what is it called? Brass Despoilers. Thank you, Calgar. So that battalion helps them immensely. So if you don't know what it is, you get reroll ones to hit if you're within so many inches of a fellow, you know, friendly unit, which of course, if you just keep all your Minotaurs, they're small units, like in terms of footprint, keep them clumped together and you always get rerolling ones to hit. And then once per game, you can get +1 to wound on top of that. And that's savage because a Bulgor on its own is not super scary. They tend to miss quite a few of their attacks. The thing is, when they land, it's -2 rend 3 damage, and so you get one really good punch, you know. And he did a great job as far as screening. He said he's played some 40k, but he likes Age of Sigmar. He hasn't played a ton of games of either, but likes Age of Sigmar because of the melee focus rather than just kind of positioning for shooting, which I completely understand. And it was great. You know, we had a great conversation afterwards. We were just hanging out. I got to meet some of the people at my local store. And everyone was super nice. You know, it was cool to be able to, like, talk. I don't know. This is going to make me sound like a total ass. I'm so sorry. It's cool to talk about the game with some sense of confidence of just like, you know, yes, I know people online say the Bulgor are the worst ever or whatever. Ignore them. If you want them to work, there are ways to make them work. The Brass Despoilers is a fantastic way to do that. There are other ways as well. Other god alignments that help them, that kind of stuff. So it was cool to like help people figure things out. I said, you know, I told them my favorite thing in Beasts of Chaos was you get a bunch of gore, you speed them up with a shaman, and you just launch them forward, pin down an enemy, and everything else from there is scenario play. But of course, he wants to be more of a narrative player, so it's not necessarily about capping objectives with narrative games. Sometimes it's about killing the right person, which he did in our game. So he won that handy, and then after he won the game, he was like, honestly, can we just play it out? I want to see how this turns out. And so I said, yeah, like I had at the time, I think I had 4 Warriors of Chaos and the War Shrine that was limping along. First of all, that War Shrine is a melee beast because all of its attacks do 2 damage each. And I was like, this is rad. And only one of them degrades with a profile as he gets wounded. So he was a monster till the end. And he was like, I think that you can kind of pull the victory by deleting me off the table. And then I was like, that's never going to happen, bro. Because I never in the entire game wounded his Gorgon. So at the very end, his Gorgon that he threw out on the far flank came around the corner of a building. And it was just like 1 Gorgon at full health versus a War Shrine with 2 wounds left and 4 Chaos Warriors. Nope. Like, nope. I had no shooting or anything like that in the army. And so, you know, I just didn't have a chance to like reach out and hurt this thing before it came and punched me. What else? Yeah, I don't know. It was cool. It was cool just to walk through, like, you know, the strengths and weaknesses of the army and what they do well, and basically how I like to play in terms of narrative stuff. Got to meet some local guys, so it was an overall great experience. I had a wonderful time, and I look forward to doing it again. So I'm going to do is open it up here. If anyone has any specific games they wanted to chat about. I know games are kind of hard to come by. Iowa's a little bit specific when it comes to their lax policies. Yeah. Or some Hedon Knights of Slaanesh. Nice. Last comment regarding the Carrick Acolytes. If you grab the Eyes of the 9, you will get 2 more Acolytes and end up with a unit of 10. Now that's true. Hold on a second. Every cop, meaning the one, is in Iowa is driving past with their sirens on. That's true, but then I would have 2 leader sculpts. Yeah, I guess that's true. I can figure something else out. If nothing else, if I buy more, like 1 set of them, I can build one as the, the not leader one and have him go into that unit. So yeah, that totally makes sense. Let's see. I have Manticore in the mail for my Red Drake lore-based slaves army. Nice. They're so impressive looking. The kit bash with the skull you did is my goal. Nice. I hope you like it. I really did enjoy that one. I think I could do it better now, which is why I got rid of them in the first place, but I really did like them. Bush Grizzly. I'm a huge 40k player, and I'm just now dipping my toes in AOS, so I'm excited to start. I agree. I like the balls to the wall melee focused combat. Yeah, and that's honestly been my thing as well. And we were talking about that as the game was going on, because he was kind of expressing his thoughts as he was playing, because it's a learning game. He wanted to make sure he wasn't doing anything wrong. So he was kind of like audibly talking me through his turn. And we got to the end of turn 1. Yeah, and he was just kind of like taking a step back. He's like, wow, we're like gonna get into combat right away. And I was like, yeah, dude, things die in AOS, like, especially with the armies that we're playing. Like, Beasts of Chaos will die, I promise. But we were discussing the fact that, like, in AOS, I feel like the first turn is all about positioning, right? You're setting yourself up for charges and ranged attacks and that kind of stuff. Whereas I feel like the first 3 turns in 40k are that, because everyone has such long-range guns that it's really about measuring the ranges of everyone else's gun rather than pushing forward to do anything. So I agree there. Charlie, hey Duck, as you just moved to a new house and now unpacking, wish me luck. Good luck, my friend. I love unpacking. It's packing that I hate, but unpacking is fun. Hey Doug, have you used any miniatures in Soulbound? I have not yet, but I would like to at some point. That is kind of my thing. I prefer having miniatures. Does help me visualize things. In my Soulbound group that I'm in now, our DM does a great job of making maps for us to kind of put that in your head. I don't think I would do well with a role-playing game where it's like 100%, just in your head. I need some kind of like visual reference for things, but we do great. Mark Sneeze Calgar, I like that name. Hey Doug, really like Beasts of Chaos as an army. I feel like the playstyle matches the lore really well. It does, just spoiler alert. And there's good diversity and ways to play. Shame the war scrolls below. There is diversity in ways to play, I will say, because you could go shooting heavy, you could go melee focused, you could go defensive and just hop on objectives. You could be very aggressive, which is like how I like to play them, where you, again, the units are so cheap, you can just throw units all the way up the board, charge turn 1, very easy, very reliably, with no weird buffs. It's all the synergies of the shaman. And you can pin your opponent in their deployment zone, which is rad. And yeah, I don't know. I just, that's my favorite way to play them. The thing is, like, what unites all the different play styles is all of them require bodies. Like, you just need a lot of dudes. Even if you're going Minotaurs, you need some kind of meat shield, like my opponent did. He put the Gore out front, the Gore took the punch and got deleted, then the Minotaurs came in and just cleaned house. So, yeah. I like melee games. Also me. Nice KO army you have there. Exactly, yes. Yep. And yes, the sub-factions for that, Galgar, just like your follow-up comment, Gave Spawn was my jam. Like 10,000%. It was the absolute best. When you killed my hero and I get a free spawn, it is incredible in a way that people don't think about, okay? I could throw my, it's late game. You're trying to hold down the enemy units just so you can keep on the objective kind of a thing. If there's no one else to buff or spells that you desperately need to cast, you take your 100 point, 6-up save, Brayherd Shaman, and you have him charge the biggest, baddest unit in your opponent's army that's left. When your opponent kills him, you get a spawn. And so you put your spawn there, and he cannot now attack the spawn because he didn't delegate his attacks. He didn't split them beforehand because the spawn didn't exist. So you have functionally pinned a unit with your hero. Now again, it's a hero. I wouldn't do it willy-nilly, but in the last game, it's this nice little clutch moment that you got that I absolutely love. So Gave Spawn, good people. Okay, so hello everybody who just joined us while we were doing that. I'm going to move over here to the news, and we're going to chat what's been up in the world of Warhammer. Now, I've been purposefully kind of not ignoring, but avoiding chatting too much about new content that's been coming out here, and mainly because I like to save it for while you're reforging. So here we are. Now let's see. The way that this works is I pull out all the articles that frankly just seem interesting to me in order of least interesting to most interesting. And in between them all, we'll just kind of leave it open for a little bit of chat, and then we'll move on to the next one. So here we go. Kill Team Pariah Nexus is what's coming out this week, I believe. And I will be honest with you, I did not understand the negative pushback on this product until I saw Uncle Adam from Tabletop Minions, his review of basically explaining like that this box is just a really rough value proposition. I would highly recommend go and see his videos. He does a great job of breaking it down in a way that is not negative or like, he's not just dunking on the company for no reason. He makes very valid points and just generally acts like an adult, which, as y'all may know, can sometimes be hard to find in this hobby. So he is awesome. I would definitely recommend that. So anyway, this is what's coming out, but I just wanted to bring it up that if you are seeing people be salty online, there is a good reason, and I wanted to point you towards a video that explains it without the salt and the being, cartoonishly immature, that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to share that video. I saw it yesterday and I was like, what? I always try to shout out channels that like I think do a really good job of expressing both that just this is a good job of expressing like disappointment and also congratulations and that kind of stuff. Let's see. I think Adam and a few reviewers missed is that buying these models separate will cost more, I expect. I guess. I don't know. Lord, hope not. This one I wanted to bring up, even though I don't talk 40k too much on the channel. Dark Eldar are my favorite faction from 40k. And basically, I love the fact that they made this little, like, cool chart of, like, ways to die in Kimura because it's just such a relentlessly bleak place. I don't know. I'm just getting all the 40k stuff out of the way here real quick. But I absolutely loved it. And it's pretty dang cool. Okay, so let me just scroll up here to the top. Again, as I want to talk about, Dark Eldar are my jam. I like this one quite a bit. Question from the chat. Do you think the amount of things that can instantly delete units is too much? I feel like a huge number of units and spells and monsters can just erase things before you get a chance to use it. I mean, that's a little bit vague. It depends on, like, do I think that there's just general things that can delete units? Like, technically the only thing that can delete a unit is stuff like the, Corn Lord axe, reality splitting axe going into a hero just takes him away on a 5-up. Like that kind, in that specific sense, no, I don't think there's too much of that. If you're talking about overwhelming firepower and that kind of stuff, I'll be honest with you. I don't really know. I don't play in competitive circles where people are actively trying to straight delete units in one shot. So, I mean, from my personal experience, I'd say no. The last time that happened to me was a tournament with the old Seraphon book that's been fixed now, where the pterodons could pop up within 3 inches of you and just decimate you. And then, yeah, before that, it was just Jack and his shootcast, or Stormhawks is his name of his chamber. And that one, I mean, he could delete stuff, but he could delete 1 to 2 things. The problem is, with that list, and this is by his own reckoning, is that it's just a lot of eggs in one basket. So when I played against him with my Beast of Chaos, he got scared because, 1, I could turn 1 charge. I had the speed to get anywhere on the board, and more importantly, I had threat saturation. So one of the reasons, it's kind of funny we're on this page while we're talking about it, one of the reasons I like Dark Eldar is because it's a bunch of cheap dudes who can all swing above their weight class. They are easy to kill, but if you have enough threats, too many for your opponent to wipe out in a turn, you will get something through and you will hurt them, right? That's kind of that's how I play, but I could understand if you as a player put, maybe too many eggs in one basket on the defensive side, your opponent does the same thing, but on the offensive side, yeah, you can get deleted and wiped off. That just hasn't been my personal experience, but I'm not going to tell you you're wrong because I don't try to do metadata and all that kind of stuff. For me, that's kind of the opposite of the hobby. But you can express that to your opponent. Like if you just keep getting fully deleted, you'd be like, hey, this is just not fun for me. Like, or at least can you help me work through a list that you couldn't just one button kill, that kind of stuff, and just work with people. That's part of the game aspect of this is just having to collaborate with other people. This is stuff we can get at our Warhammer store. Now, I am not going to be partaking because my Warhammer store is like an hour and a half away. And basically, you can get a free Lumineth Spearman so that you too can hold the Spear of Compensation for yourself. It is a 3-inch ranged weapon that is actually 3 inches long. And it is, I'm going to say, unwieldy to try and move and store. And if you buy a bunch of stuff, you can always get a collectible coin. I've never been much of a coin guy, I'll be honest with you. If they were really cool objective markers, which I know obviously you can use it as an objective marker, but like if there was something special about them and their designs for that, or maybe a set of 6 or something like that, I would be really more tempted, but I don't know. It just didn't grip me. But now we're moving into the stuff that I like. Okay. Say hello to Headcracker, the orc taking advice from a pet snake. That's the best orc. What are you talking about? They previewed this guy. He is Headcracker, the Gob of Gork, and I love that, the Gob of Gork. Brutal but cunning. Headcracker heard the voice of the violent god Gorkamorka speaking through his serpent familiar. It had a simple message for him and his mad mob. Start the biggest hunt ever and slay the beast grave, the living mountain, of course. Bone splitters don't worry about practicalities, such as how to actually kill the mountain, and so they set off across Gur. That is the best backstory for anything. Can we just be honest here for a second? And I love how that's their explanation for just his brutality. We're just going to go kill a mountain. Cunning, but brutal. Not only is Headcracker the leader of the warband, but he's also a powerful wizard, as you'd expect one who's chosen from Gorkamorka, and can inspire any member of the warband when you have the primacy token. Now, I will be honest with you, I have been a bit out of the loop when it comes to Underworlds. Quite frankly, ever since GW just like deleted my order, apparently. I don't know. I was sitting on it for over a month when I pre-ordered it, and then I just like canceled the order, got my money back. But since then, I don't know. When you gain the primacy token, choose one friendly fighter that is inspired. That fighter is inspired. Yeah, I don't know how much the primacy thing works, but I'm super interested in just like having a wizard-focused warband that can at will dole out inspiration. So that's really cool. Let's see. Head crack is Mad Mob. That's just the coolest name. Mad Mob. Plays well as a flex warband, giving you options of killing enemy fighters or jumping on objectives to claim the primacy token. During the latter, you can lead the triple whammy of claiming the primacy token, inspiring a fighter, and scoring the Eye of Gorka Morka objective card. Duel. Score this in an end phase if you have the primacy token and your leader holds an objective. That is very specific, but I dig it. If I have anyone in the chat who knows how to play Underworlds, can you explain the primacy token in a very simple way for me? I would really appreciate that. Headcracker's Mob also comes with universal cards that are perfect for warbands looking to build a deck focusing on the primacy token. Any fighter will look good in the Armor of Confidence. Oh man, I am gonna make this the new background on my phone. The Armor of Confidence. What a baller idea. Okay, G-dubs, you redeemed yourself for apparently people being mad about Pariah Nexus kill team. That is amazing. +1 defense if you have the primacy token. Okay. Another warband might also like Armor of Confidence is... No, wait, we're not allowed to tell you about them. And this, based on the symbol and its silhouette, we're pretty sure it's the Ossiarch Bone Reapers. But yeah. Yeah. I'm excited about this. Very cool warband. Looks super fun. I'm going to pause there and just give anyone who was trying to answer my question here just a moment to respond. Let's see... Here we go. Everything's looking good. Hey, you. Flayed ones are half the box. Okay, having a discussion about the value of... Let's see. R4, 2+. Great to see you prep for Silver Tower. I'm painting my Carrick Acolytes while listening. Oh, awesome, buddy. That's awesome. We have a shorter show here today just because I didn't get much in the way of games played or that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be painting a little bit more today, I think. But, okay, if no one is quite comfortable explaining the primacy token, I'm going to move along here. Jamie, I'll answer your thing real quick. We're talking news right now, buddy. Do you think this is a good scheme for Khorne? Oh, we've already covered your Khorne thing, though, right? You're doing base coat red, Null Noil with Dragonov Shade, highlight Khorne red, Wazdaka. Yep. Yeah, that sounds great. Just be sure that you use less of each highlight color than the one before it. So when you do your Wazdaka red, you should have half the amount of that than you did of the Khorne red, half the amount of Evil Sun Scarlet than Wazdaka, and half the amount of Wild Rider than Evil Suns. And that's what makes it pop like a highlight, because if you put too much of each on, it'll like look kind of garish. So, okay, here we are at the Cursed City Crier. We've got, hear ye, I am the Cursed City Crier, and I'm here to tell you about the macabre beings that haunt the streets. If you hear the dull rasp of dull steel in dry soil and the rattle of bone dragging across the cobbles, run. The Gravekeeper can't be reasoned with, neither can his minions, and if you hear me slurring my words on the way home from the tavern, don't worry about it, it's just allergies. If you've been reading the Warhammer community over the last month or so, you already know... Okay, I'm going to skip their fluff text, right? Let's talk about some zombies. Today we'd like to turn our attention to some bizarre adversaries your team of adventurers will face. When we say the city crawls with a creeping menace, we mean that Ulfenkarn itself has seemingly leapt onto the shoulders of the dead to go for a stroll. Yeah, that's just random... looks like sidewalk pieces. The grim truth is that the living dead far outnumber the actual living beings in the cursed city. The Shyish Nadir is so close that the magic of death suffuses everything. This foul energy concentrates in places already associated with death, such as the mass burial grounds scattered throughout Ulfenkarn's various districts. These so-called corpse gardens have attained a sickening sentience, a sort of dread hunger that seemingly employs undead bodies like puppets to seek out fresh souls. The Deadwalker zombies roam the streets of Ulfenkarn, preying upon anything that gets too close. Right, but why are they bolted to the tombs? And who keeps the mass graves stocked with fresh corpses? None other than this lovely chap, who we've covered before. I love this guy. He's my favorite model so far of the set. My favorite of the heroes is the Joan of Arc of America, the lady with the wolf, the eagle on her shoulder. But this guy is my favorite villain because he looks like something straight out of Silent Hill, which is my favorite video game series. This baffling creature buries victims alive in the corpse gardens and unleashes them later at his vampiric master's bidding. His massive gravekeeper spade is just as good at creating corpses as exhuming them, and his bone mask and accoutrements of death leave little doubt as to his general disposition. I love it. Oh, I love it. Primacy Tokens is new for the Dire Chasm release. I don't know what it does. I have Night Vault, Beastgrave. Okay. No problem then, if I didn't realize it was that new. For some reason I thought it was a Beastgrave thing, but it makes sense if it's Dire Chasm. But thank you so much, Tom, for pointing that out for me, buddy. I will say, we had a discussion about these models when they were first previewed, and people were like, I don't like them. For me, I do like them. My thing is, I just don't want a whole unit of the bent forward with the grave oddly stuck to their back. I mean, the thing is, I just want to see a 360 to understand what am I looking at? You know what I mean? Like, why is there a tombstone? Because people aren't buried like that under a tombstone. So I'm just kind of confused, because you would have to be buried 2 inches underground, face down, horizontally, and that's like the opposite of how anybody's buried under a tombstone, right? Specifically. So it's just weird. The thing that I did say, though, is that if there was a new zombie unit, looking at the actual sculpts of like the actual faces and the hands and the pose of like her legs all crooked in, and I love them. And so if there was like a full unit that was more, I'm going to say, not traditional, but like typical zombies, you know, they're shuffling forwards, reaching out for you. Maybe there's some broken legs, a couple crawling on the ground, and you mixed these in, I would be super into that, right? I would really, really like that. But as a whole unit of just these guys, I'm like, I just don't see. Some of them make more sense than others. Like her being, you know, put under the ground and a pole stabbed through her, and this one, I'm like, okay, I'm down with that. This one even makes sense. The guy in the center, you know, because they would like put a little bell on there to make sure you're dead. So burying him, jamming a pole through makes sense. But then the tombstone ones, I'm like, I don't get it. I don't fully understand the criticism. These models are primarily for Curse City, not for AOS, so why care about how they work as an AOS unit? So the reason I say that is because, fun fact for you, these are the first Zangors you ever saw. Same with the Carrick Acolytes, same with the Gaunt Summoner, the Ogroid Thaumaturge, technically the newest Skaven we had in quite a while. And so the reason I bring up them as an AOS unit is not because it's truly secondary, it's because we're getting a glimpse as to what the designers of the undead armies have in store for us. All of these things were previewed in Silver Tower, and then we got a full army, and I expect nothing less from this. So yeah, even though, you know, this is a great Zangor for Silver Tower, it's also the outline of what Zangor are, period. So that's why we have the conversation about it. But as far as like having 8 of them, even in Curse City, I'd like to see, I don't know, I would love it if there was an expansion where you could just add more zombies, more zombies. I'm a zombie guy. And then Games Workshop, to keep our attention, even though they've switched to every other week release, vampire rat style icon. It's Kritza, the Rat Prince, and I've wanted to talk about this guy for a few days now. So, welcome to our first ever new model Monday. Every week throughout March, we'll be showcasing a brand new, previously unseen miniature through the rumor engine, and may have revealed a glimpse at some point. Let's see. Oh, it's only for this month. Okay. Say hello to Kritza, the Rat Prince. First of all, this guy is regal AF. He's looking extra. These are the newest Skaven models we've had in a long time. That was a joke. I know they're rats. They're not Skaven. But yeah. Other Dave nailed it. The zombies are staked so they don't rise as vampires. They are buried shallow because there is no more room in the corpse gardens. They are buried on top of other dead people. Okay, I dig it. Thank you, Cody, for the shout out to go check that out. No, I get the spikes through the grave thing. It's specifically the ones who are like who are buried horizontally under the tombstone. All the other ones make perfect sense to me. It's the ones who, like, the tombstone is facing left to right, but their bodies are going the opposite way. That's the one that just confuses me. It's only the tombstone ones that I'm like, heh. All the other ones, because you can see the spikes coming through. It makes perfect sense. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to read this guy's thing here. The well-dressed fellow hails from the Vikros dynasty of soul-blight vampires. As you can probably tell from his fancy attire, Kritza was once accounted amongst the nobility of Ulfenkarn, which you can read about in our first Cursed City Crier. Again, I'm very excited to learn about the history of Ulfenkarn. Or GW just did what they want. Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much it. Unfortunately, his attempts to secretly undermine the lord of the land led him to an ill fate, and he was horribly mauled by Rajikar the Wolf. Okay. Let's see. So he was somebody... So he was what? Would you read about the Cursed City? His attempts to secretly undermine the lord of the land led him to an ill fate, and he was horribly mauled. So that tells me what, he was a guy who was hoping to undermine the vampire, so he was like for humans? Interesting. Against all odds, Kritza escaped by heaving himself into a corpse cart. Oh. Let me just pull something up here for dramatic effect. This is a corpse cart, and probably the last place that I would want to jump into. Oh my god. Internet, just give me the dang picture. That's super gross, and I love it. Just a whole cart full of just gore. And playing dead amongst the lifeless bodies it carried. He sustained his ravaged body by feasting upon the blood of the rats he found gnawing on the corpses stowed alongside of him. Kritza soon discovered he'd unwittingly been granted the blood kiss by his ferocious assailant and was slowly evolving into one of the soul blight. So he is first and foremost an accident. A tragic one, of course, but rad. You may have noticed the Rat Prince's fabulous, or somewhat verminous, cloak and somewhat Murin appearance. Well, it appears that his unorthodox transformation into a vampire has had some unusual side effects. In addition to being accompanied by his vermintide of rats, both living and undead, Kritza can transform into a swarm of rodents to evade his foes. That is so cool. That is so cool. I love it. We hope you enjoyed the first ever New Model Monday. So my question is, I'm looking at this guy, and it doesn't say much about his specific, allegiance now, because he is a noble who resisted the vampires taking control of the city. Again, we're just kind of getting bits and pieces of this story as it kind of comes to light. But you can expect a whole bunch of lore videos. I'm so freaking excited to cover the story of Ulfenkarn. It's basically a civil war story with vampires, which is just like baller. But this guy, so he escaped and then presumably came back, or maybe he didn't really leave and he just kind of stayed there. But I'm curious as to what his allegiance is now, because I would imagine Rajikar wouldn't want to see him quote unquote alive, undead alive, because he intended to kill him, and the blood kiss was a mistake. But then again, it's like, I mean, this is his city, Is he one of the playable heroes? Is he an undead hero we can play as to try and clear out the city? Is he going to be a villain within there who is also hiding from, the forces of Ulfenkarn? There's a whole bunch of cool narrative ways that you can do stuff. He can go either way. I think it'd be fun if he was a heroic vampire for the expansion. Exactly. Yep. And that would totally work. That would totally work for me. I would love it. But yeah, so I think he's a great model. I love the nobility. You know what I mean? Like, for me, I was starting to paint some Space Marines because I wanted something that looked clean. You know what I mean? I spent so much time painting the Nurgle stuff. I was like, I want some clean lines. I want some fancy appearances. But I feel like the models that they've shown for the vampires, this specifically guy, and then also the Underworld's Warband, where it is clean lines and everything looks orderly and proper, but there's also this small sinister, undertone to it. And that is what the Space Marines lacked. Where like, yes, it's all clean, but whatever that but is, in this case it's rats. In their case it's blood and all kinds of nastiness. Like, that's the cool part to me. He's going to be the exclusive guy from the Cursed City novel, I bet. Well, the novel just comes with a card. So even if that's true, it's going to be available online because literally everyone who gets it is going to take a picture. Right? You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not too worried about that. Whatever that card is, we're all going to be able to see it. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. I'm going all in on Cursed City. Me as well, my friend. Me as well, because I am so flippin' pumped for this. And for what it's worth, regardless, I'm obviously going to do the stuff online, but I am going to be running Warhammer Quest games at any convention that I go to, because it's something that's easy to pack up and takes a bit of time, and you can hang out with people, have some quality time with them. So whenever cons start back up again, look for this guy. We're going to be playing some games. And plus, it'd be nice to play like group games so I can like hang out with a crowd of people rather than just, one. And it's one of those things that like there was multiple times at Nova, which again, only convention that I've been to, but there was multiple times where I was playing a game with one person and then somebody else who wanted to say hi was kind of just standing off to the side, feeling like I couldn't interrupt. So I was like, no, I don't want that. Let's get a group game going. We'll hang out together and just have fun. So yeah. Wow, nice curls. I've only heard your voice. Yes, I hate the curly hair. Here's what I do. I do the same thing when I used to have a lawn, was just let it get out of control and then just I don't go all the way down to like bald, but yeah. Anyway, so friends, I'm just gonna hang out and get some painting in. Let's see, let's go down here. And yeah, I don't know if you all wanted to join me, but I was just going to put the acolytes to the side. Like I said, I covered up the yellow on their clothes. Still have music playing? Technically, that song is very quiet. But yeah, let's see. What have I got next? Let's knock these guys. We'll throw some base colors on there for them. Now the ones with the shields are going to be special because I have to do my pattern on them, but everybody else I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to do metals and that kind of stuff. Okay. Let's grab some color. And we're just going to do a bit of dry brushing for their skin. Let's see, so much death factions I can play with from this Cursed City. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what they do with expansion-wise. If I'm honest with you, I want them to bring back the app. If you don't know, when Silver Tower launched, they kind of went all in. And they had an app that had like all different kinds of enemy cards on there. And so you could just play as like a bajillion different factions and heroes, and you could fight Khorne warriors and all these kinds of things. And then for some reason they just took it off the App Store with no way to get it. Like, oh, okay. Cool. Oh yeah, that looks great. So yeah, I guess I'm definitely going to be getting enough vampires and zombies for a Warcry warband, even though my only Warcry buddy locally, I think, has fallen harder into Legion, Star Wars Legion, than Games Workshop titles anymore. But I get it. Hope for Skaven expansion. Ooh. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Anytime there's a city, I'm like, what's under the city? I don't trust the ground. Here we have floor is lava in the AOS universe, like the floor is Skaven. I guess what I really want to know, so we know that the Cursed City has a vampire problem, right? That's already been very well established. I guess what I want to know is, like, what are the treasures there? Like, what would motivate some of the heroes we saw? Like, they don't have very clear-cut motivations. And so I'm very excited to learn those. Is it just a matter of, like, none of these people will allow vampires running a city to abide? Because if that's true, then, like, why aren't we all hunting Neferata? So I feel like there's something more to the city. Like, there's some treasure to be found, or... you know, that kind of stuff. I would love... I know we have a KO dude, but I would love to see, like, even more of them brought in as they try to, like, raid the place for treasure and junk. Question, you were thinking you'd be able to use the heroes and villains in other GW games, like Blackstone Fortress? You think we are going to use the heroes and villains in other... Cody, I'm not sure if I understand your question. Are you asking if we can use the heroes from Blackstone Fortress in 40k? Because you can. I'm not sure where to find the War Scrolls, to be honest with you, but I know, like, for example, the Rattling team is available in Astra Militarum. I know... I think the robot is available in AdMech, but he has, like, some funny rules because he doesn't want anyone to know that he's sentient, which is just awesome. Let's see. Hey, I will only leave here. We need more. And okay, I think I understand. You're saying we need more dwarfs. You're tired of elves. I understand, my friend. Let's see. What really broke me for GW specialist stuff was the, I don't know, interoperability. Underworld's dudes for Warcry, etc. All of these characters are so wonderful and great models. Oh, yeah. Yep, just being able to use them for everything else, for sure. Just throwing on a light dry brush here of Cronus Blue. I'm generally not the biggest fan of dry paints, which is like paints that are made specifically for dry brushing if you're not a GW Citadel paint user, but they tend, because they're kind of like chunky, you know, because you're just kind of dabbing your brush onto them and then pulling the color. But some of them, like this, I use Riser Rust that way. Kindle Flame is a fantastic one for heat effects if you're trying to make something look warm. Sorry, multitasking. Use the Cursed City things in AOS or Warcry. I'm sure. I have no doubt that they will have rules. At least they might be limited. You know, maybe they can't take a, you know, for example, let's say the Witch Hunter guy in the Cities of Sigmar. I'm sure you'll be able to field him. I'm not sure if he might go to Legends pretty soon after. But he'll have stats and that kind of stuff. Like, the Excelsior War Priest is still in the app, and I know he has points somewhere on the Legends page. I would use him in a friendly game. I don't know. You'll get a lot of folks who are like, you can't use him anymore. It's like, you can use whatever you want, dude. They have rules for him. But I'm also somebody who doesn't think that Legends means... having a model go to Legends means that you can't enjoy it anymore, which some people seem to think. I'm a bit disappointed in the dwarf in the Cursed City box. It was more like an individual dwarf not connected to any AOS army. I mean, he doesn't look anything... I mean, so he's a Carriage Over dwarf, but he is not decked out like any known Caradron before. So I think he's unique enough, you know? Certainly he looks unique enough that you could claim he's not a Caradron. How about that? You could just say he's just an enterprising young guy just walking around Being a jerk. Stealing stuff, haunting vampires. Because, you know, you say you wish he wasn't part of any AOS army, but he, for all intents and purposes, kind of won't be. Because as far as I can tell, Curse City will be a self-contained game, so you won't have to, like, care about anything outside of it. Because if they put that exact same model out and didn't mention Carriage and Overlords, it wouldn't change anything about them. Which is kind of how I think about it. Still got some brush cleaner on that. Curse City comes with a whole AOS book. Yeah, I'm sure it's their War Scrolls. Let's see. He has... Oh, you don't like his mask. Oh, that's just an aesthetics choice. I get that. Personally, I love it. But I understand. You know, it's the same thing as people have been feeling since the actual KO army came out forever ago, it feels like now, where it's definitely one of those factions where you're like, you are into this or you are not, and there's not a ton of in between, right? Like, if you're a dwarf fan, you're either on board or you're like, I like the old dwarves. Yeah, no. No right or wrong. But, you know, as long as you're cool about the fact that you have a very specific preference, right on. So like, what is a wacky dwarf that isn't Dispossessed or Fire Slayers? I don't know. But the ogre is amazing. Oh yeah, the ogre in the Cursed City set he is quite cool. What do I want? I want a Lead Belcher. Yes, he is. But yeah, I think we'll definitely be able to use Cursed City stuff elsewhere. You know, because like some of the units, like for example, like I said before, the Excelsior War Priest, some of the units, you know, okay, backing up, resetting thought. It's kind of like a TV sitcom where some of the actors will go on to do great things, and then some of them will fade into obscurity. It's like, you know, the TV show Friends. Yeah, we got Jennifer Aniston, who is awesome, but you know, we also got the gal who played Phoebe, and it's just like, she didn't do much on her own after that. Oh, someone got their car alarm going off. And so it's just like, you know, the Knight Questor, he's an established part of Stormcast. The Gaunt Summoner, established part of Tzeentch. Zangor, obviously, established part of Tzeentch as well. But then you get like the Excelsior War Priest, and it's like, what happened? So anyway, friends, that is me explaining the nature of GW model support via 90s sitcoms. Hope you enjoyed. I love the guy at the top knot. Do I have the top knot? I actually hate top knots. I will be honest with you. We were talking about just personal aesthetic choices. Cannot stand them. I don't know why. Never liked them. Every time I've done a Chaos Warrior where they had a top knot, I always cut it off. With the exception of my Chaos Marauders, because one, they already looked dumpy, I wasn't going to put any more work into them, but also because there were so many of them that to cut off all the top knots would just be like, oh, did we just profile and put all of the bald people in this one unit? It looked a little weird. Needed some model diversity there. Doug throwing shade at Phoebe. I'm just saying the actress didn't do a ton afterwards. You know, she was in she was in Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion. It was a good film, but it wasn't, you know, David Schwimmer in Madagascar, which is became a very, you know, good moneymaker series for them, or I don't know, I'm trying to think of some of the other actors that did well. Yeah. Plus stuff. What music do you like? I'm not really much of a music guy, to be honest with you. I listen to a lot of podcasts. That's kind of my jam. If I am listening to music, it's usually like lo-fi something, and I don't keep track of artists. I don't really, just kind of like having a beat in the background. But yeah, that is just me. Or I like to go like throwbacks, whether it's like 90s throwbacks or like Lou Rawls singing R&B songs from like the 70s. Throw it way back. But like nothing in between, you know. I guess, yeah, no, not really. Let's get this guy's face right quick. Question, what are your thoughts on adding low point models that come with additional models free of charge in armies, such as, like the, so you're asking like the Warcry Warband things? It's fine. Like, I don't have a problem with it. I guess just from a bookkeeping perspective, it can be a kind of a pain when you see 0 point cost models and you have to make sure that whoever they're supposed to be with is actually there and that kind of stuff. But that's, I mean, that's honestly, that's fairly minute. You know, obviously a bigger example is Marathi. She's a twofer. Although she does have different costs for each form, doesn't she? She's just a combined total. Yeah, I don't mind it. Honestly, they only seem to really be doing that with very specific. They used to do it with Sail the Faithless, so Forge World Chaos Champion, who I think is discontinued now, and the Warcry Warbands for the most part. Are there any others besides that aren't Warcry Warbands? I think it's fine. The Warbands are super hit or miss. Most of the time you don't even see them on the table. My favorite ones are the ones that allow like the warband to take wounds on behalf of the hero, because typically that allows that type of hero to be more aggressive without the fear of being just auto deleted, which can sometimes happen. Like my favorite example is the Nurgle warband is just super cool when it comes to punkin' wounds, because the sorcerer has a very short range spell. So normally the Nurgle sorcerers can't use it because they don't want to be that close to combat at all. But having a personal entourage of chunky boys to escort you down the center of the board so you can deliver that nuke is pretty nice. When's the next Soulbound faction video coming out, and what faction will it be? Oh, I don't actually know. I didn't have one planned. but I will be doing one soon. Let's see. Tell you what, is there a faction on Living King that you desperately want to hear about? I think the last thing I was going to do, or the last I thought about it, I was going to do, what are they called? Keratin Overlords. Someone was asking about that video. It's not like I got tired of them or anything, it's just then I got slammed with the Soulbound Champions of Order book, and then a Slanesh book, and the Daughters of Cain one. So there was just a lot. It's not like I'm tired of the series or anything like that. I actually love it because it gives me a chance to revisit some of the lore of some of those factions for no other reason than just covering cool different things. KO, yeah. Are you still painting your ogres you bought? No, they're already gone, I'm sorry. I painted a few and I just could not get them to look anything like I wanted them to, and I was just like, I'm losing luster for this army, and so I traded them off. Okay. Let's see. Are you going to do more lore contests this year, or is that a once a year thing? You know, I don't really have an established time frame for it, if I'm honest with you. I can kind of do them whenever. I'd certainly like to wait until Silver Tower's over, because I know that that's going to be a launch that takes up an immense amount of my time. Honestly, the only reason I don't do them constantly is because it takes so much time to read through all of the entries. That if there's literally anything else on the horizon that I want to do, it kind of just takes precedent over the lore contest. As far as when the next one will be, I don't know. But for me, I'm always trying to come up with, well, now I like doing the themed thing, like having Gur as the theme rather than just general, you know, show me what you got kind of stuff. I think it kind of helped to keep people focused. There's at least a common thread that I can kind of keep my head wrapped around. So I like that quite a bit. Well, we might be doing something fun, like create your own, you know, Chaos Warband or Regiment of Renown or something like that. But yeah, definitely going to do more. It's not necessarily a once a year thing. It's just a whenever Doug has time. Alright. Let's see. Does Nurgle have an option for like mortal barbarian dudes like Blood Reavers? Blight Kings are their only real mortal troop unit at the time. They got demons, but no, there's no Blood Reaver or Blood Warrior equivalent. Just little dudes, like the guys you fight in Vermintide. That'd be cool though. I know that the zombie spam is a real annoying thing in 40k, but those are models that I really, you know, Poxwalker spam. At least it was for a while. I don't know. They got a new battle tome or codex for 40k recently. I don't know if that's still the same, but you know, I'd hate it if they released, you know, plague zombies for AOS, which I would love to see that and see their vision for it, but I would really be sad if it turned into no one ever took Blight Kings anymore. It's all about plague zombies because it's just spamming little dudes, because that's generally speaking what competitive AOS is about. And that's what'll be all over online, so when new folks jump into the game, they'll think, oh, Blight Kings are terrible. It's like, no, Blight Kings are awesome. got gauntlets. Man, I dig Zangor. They're already halfway painted. Oh, Carnival of Chaos looking guys. I like it. Let's see. Question: if you could pick the next AOS army / faction to get a new battle tome, excluding Lumineth and Soulblight Grave guys, what would I pick? Ooh, who do I think needs a book the most? I'm gonna say Idoneth Deepkin. They need some love. I know that I am not a competitive gamer. It's not really what I talk about here on the channel. However, I don't like the fact that an army exists with exactly like one win condition. Plus, I would love to see a new book that rolled in all the changes they made. And if you don't know, that win condition is just a boatload of eels. They are extremely aggressive and awesome at what they do. But for an army that has as few model options as them, to only have a third, maybe a quarter of those options really ever see the table is quite sad. Now, of course, I haven't played a ton of games since the new changes came out. But, you know, even with the changes that came out in Broken Realms Morathi, like, it only affected a handful of units specifically. And so, yeah, I think the faction as a whole, I think, just needs a retweak. Get them to Marty swinging like champions, and that's the thing, is like they actually have a pretty good attack profile in terms of like hit to hit and to wound and that kind of stuff. It really just comes down to the fact that they just need, oh man. What makes them sad is they're on 32 mil bases, but let's see. What's your guess on Curse City release date? Honestly, I don't know. Part of me in my my less optimistic part of my brain says the reason that they're doing the model reveal Monday thing is to kind of stall because shipping stuff got all backed up. I'm just going to say this, and I know that you were not complaining about the release date, you were asking, so this is not directed at you in any way, shape, or form. Make that super clear. Everybody, 2021 is the year of it comes when it comes. And there's just not a lot of other things to offer. The world's going through a lot. Things are getting better, but my God. And the real reason I say this has nothing to do with AOS, actually has a lot to do with Star Wars Legion, because they've had a few releases that got delayed from various things like shipping strikes and boating problems and all these various things, and some of their community is just like outlandishly childish. I'm like, what? You're an adult. What do you expect? Things are made in one country, have to go to the other. A lot of hands pass over it in between. It just is what it is. So given the state of the world, it comes when it comes. I started a Deepkin army, switched to KO. I, this week, had a moment where I was extremely tempted to buy a Deepkin set, and still might if the price is right one day, but it's a faction that I didn't take up when I first had the models because it seemed very intimidating to paint, and I was kind of a little aggravated on how they released them. Like it was like a 7-week release, so you could just not play your army for a dang near a full month before or after they came out. So there was that kind of stuff which I wasn't really super jazzed about, but I love the models. I love the color palettes they allow you to use without looking garish or crazy. Lots of aqua colors and floral and that kind of stuff. Oh, so good. Plus, they play like Dark Eldar, which is the thing that I like. In theory, they do anyway. Lore-wise. Lots of little threats coming at you. You never know what you can do to defend against them, that kind of stuff. Lots of raiding and pirating. I just need more money and a bigger home, said everybody. Alright, I think that guy is done. Work in an affected industry and frequently have customers going, why don't you have X thing from Y country? It's a little frustrating to have to explain COVID for the millionth time. Exactly. Exactly. I respect it. Hang in there. People can be the worst sometimes. Hey Doug, should I get a Deepkin or KO army to start with? Oh, wow. That was timely. I'm going to say I don't tell people how to spend their money. Straight up. Go with the models you like the look of is always my... Because I don't know you. I don't know how you like to play. I don't know why you play, like competitive versus narrative, that kind of stuff. So I refuse. This is why I don't give buying tips. And we're just going to throw some base color here on these horns. There was one guy where it was like, someone was like, you inspired me to start Beasts of Chaos with, what was it? It was like 4 cockatrices or something like that. And I was like, don't you dare put that on me. I didn't tell you to do that. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Just grab his beak real quick. Let's see. Logistics business has been very effective. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, listening to Doug and playing some EVE Online. I have a question. What is EVE Online? It has shown up very recently, like in my like suggested or sponsored ads or whatever like that. You know, they're like, oh, you're a nerd, you might like this. But I don't know what it is. But I am curious to learn. So what I'm gonna do is finish the horns on these guys and their beaks. And I think I'm gonna call it. Got some errands I gotta run today. Gotta go get a bird feeder so my cat can be entertained for hours. EVE is basically a slow MMO sandbox game, endless ways to play. Okay. Cool. EVE is awesome if you love math. I don't, but I appreciate the very forthright heads up. I actually, fun fact, if there was no grace in this world, I would have not passed high school or graduated high school on time, because I am so terrible at math that my senior year I had to take Algebra 2 again, and I had to keep going back in. I was there every morning before school and every evening after school my senior year with my math teacher, and at the end of it he was like, you need a 86 to pass this exam and, you know, pass the class. And I got a 74, and he's like, you know what? You have an 86. You have what you need. Like, you know, you may not, some people, they just struggle with it. Like, but unlike other students, you made the effort to try and learn. So he's like, just go ahead. I was like, oh, thank you. I get to go to college. Where I pretty much did the same thing. I just pretty much just studied and was part of every study group I could find, but it's just hard. Math is hard for me. Change that water? I will, when it's done. Or when I'm done recording. I'll be honest with you, most folks care far too much about small things when it comes to painting. I paint with broken and bent brushes, dirty water, cheap paints, and I do quite well. Bob Ross once said that his style of painting is the lazy man's method of doing art. And I try to do the same. These games are incredibly difficult to make. Only a few studios in the world are able to. Those studios don't want to purchase the AOS IP. They want to own their own IP. Yeah, I can see that. Take the brush out of your cup? Nah. That specifically is my mixing brush. I literally just use it to take stuff out of a GW pot, put it on here, water, mix. I'm good. Nobody likes a backseat painter, Jeremy. I'm just kidding. I'm 100% kidding. Please hang out with us. I was at the craft store yesterday, and actually I found something super cool. In the bottom of this cup is a, I think they call it a brush puck or something like that. It's like a little plastic spongy thing that you can rub your brush up, and like it kind of cleans it a little bit better. And I gotta say, I love it. Let's see. Jamie, do you know of a good way of painting black? Well, I feel like it's already been established in the chat that I'm not much of a painter. But for me personally, I would throw down a Baden Black, and then, you know, actually that's not true. The color that I like to use is Eshin Gray. And the reason I use Eshin Gray is because it is like one shade up from true black. And so if you put Eshin Gray on something and then put a null oil wash, it looks black, but the parts where the null oil has settled are now deep enough. There's now wash in there, so it looks even darker. So you even if everything is kind of black, you do get different shades and stuff like that. Because there's few things in life that are like true black, like true devoid of color black. And so yeah, that's what I would say, is just grab your darkest gray, or put just like the slightest bit of white into whatever black paint you already own, you know, just to kind of raise it just up a bit, and then do that, and then you can do a wash of null oil. From there, there's a few different kinds of black that GW has, like, for example, their Deathwatch guys kind of go with a blue hue. Which is fine. It's not really my jam, but it does look really sharp on some models. What am I painting the bases for Silver Tower? I don't know yet, actually. I was just thinking about that yesterday, and part of it is I need them to look good from a very specific angle, because these models very specifically are going to be used for, like, you know, recording games and that kind of stuff. So for my purposes, I was really honestly just considering doing a solid black base, because if you look at these tiles, let me grab one. The crazy tiles from, you know, Silver Tower, if I want to take my camera and like do a nice video for these, they're so busy that I honestly think between this and the painted models, it might be best just to have a solid black base. But again, that's very specific to my purposes, so I don't really know what to tell you. Honestly, if you can find, like, the GW used to sell their own plastic bases, like the Broken Rums ones, those look pretty cool, but they are a little pricey. They're a quality product. Okay. Boom, these guys are cranking through. I love it. Looks like I missed most of it. Yeah, I'm actually just about to hop off here, buddy. Sorry. I'm getting a little out of breath. I did my workout right before this, and now I need to cool off a smidge. But friends, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today, and we'll get some painting done. I'm going to, again, try as hard as I can this weekend to get all these things done so we can hopefully in the next week or two start doing some live games. So thank you all so much for your help, and I will hang out with you next time. And happy wargaming.